Long before telescopes, long before anyone dared to say the Earth was not the center of all things, a single Greek thinker looked up at the night sky and made a claim so bold it would take humanity 2,000 years to catch up with him. He said the Earth was not standing still at the heart of the cosmos, but was moving, spinning through space around a mysterious central fire, and that the entire universe was built from numbers and secret music.
Imagine standing beneath the stars 25 centuries ago, certain beyond all doubt that the ground beneath your feet was the fixed and motionless center of everything. Every person who had ever lived believed this, for it was simply obvious. The earth stood still while the heavens turned around it. Then imagine a single man daring to whisper that this was all wrong, that the earth itself was racing through the heavens like the stars. This man was Philolaus, and his astonishing idea would echo through the centuries until it reached a Polish astronomer named Copernicus. His story is one of the boldest leaps of imagination in all of human history. It is a story reaching from a secret ancient brotherhood to the very birth of modern science. Philolaus was born around the year 470 before the Common Era in the Greek world of southern Italy. This region was a vibrant center of Greek colonies, rich with trade, culture, and above all, radical new ideas. He came to age in a world still buzzing with the teachings of one of history's most mysterious figures, a man named Pythagoras. To understand Philolaus, you must first understand the strange and secretive brotherhood that shaped his entire mind. For Philolaus was a Pythagorean, an heir to one of the most extraordinary intellectual movements the world had ever seen. The air he breathed was thick with mystery, mathematics, and the promise of hidden cosmic truths. Few places and few moments could have been more perfect for shaping such a mind. Pythagoras had founded far more than a school of mathematics, for he had created a way of life shrouded in secrecy and wonder. His followers formed a tight brotherhood bound by strict rules, mystical beliefs, and a burning conviction that numbers held the key to all reality. They believed that mathematics was not merely useful, but sacred, the very language in which the universe was written. Members swore oaths of secrecy and were forbidden from sharing their master's teachings to outsiders. This veil of mystery makes the Pythagoreans one of the most fascinating and elusive groups in the history of thought. To join them was to enter a world where numbers glowed with almost divine power, and at the heart of that world lay secrets they would die to protect. Guarding their knowledge with fierce devotion, the Pythagoreans treated revealing it as a terrible betrayal. Their deepest teachings were passed down only by word of mouth from one trusted member to another, never written down for the world to see. Legend even tells of a Pythagorean who was drowned at sea as punishment for revealing a forbidden mathematical secret. In such an atmosphere of intense secrecy, the ideas of Pythagoras remained hidden from the wider world for generations. And this is precisely what makes the achievement of Philolaus so remarkable and so important. Knowledge to them was not a possession to be shared, but a sacred trust to be guarded. That silence would have swallowed their discoveries entirely if not for one brave man.
For Philolaus did something that no Pythagorean had ever dared to do before him. He took the secret teachings of the Brotherhood and, for the very first time, wrote them down in a book. This single act of courage broke centuries of tradition and changed the course of intellectual history forever. Without Philolaus, the astonishing ideas of the early Pythagoreans might have vanished completely, lost to the silence of their secret oaths. He became the bridge that carried their hidden wisdom out of the shadows and into the light of the wider world. With ink and parchment, he defied the deepest taboo of his own brotherhood. In doing so, he gave the future a gift beyond all price. No book before his had ever dared to speak the Brotherhood's guarded secrets aloud. It is thanks to this brave decision that we know anything at all about early Pythagorean thought. His book became one of the most important sources for these mysterious ideas, studied by philosophers for centuries afterward. Some ancient sources even claim that a young philosopher named Plato purchased a copy of the precious book. Through Philolaus, the secret teachings of Pythagoras flowed into the mainstream of Greek philosophy and beyond. He rescued an entire tradition of thought from disappearing forever into the darkness of history. One man's courage, in a single book, preserved the thought of an entire lost world. History owes him a debt that can never be fully repaid. We are, in a sense, still reading over his shoulder across the centuries. At the very heart of the philosophy of Philolaus lay a breathtaking and beautiful idea about the nature of reality. He believed that everything in the universe was made from a combination of two fundamental principles, the limited and the unlimited. The unlimited was raw, boundless, and formless, like empty space stretching without end. The limited was what gave shape, order, and boundary to this formlessness. All things that exist, Philolaus taught, arise from the harmony that binds these two opposites together. It is a vision in which existence itself is a delicate balance between the boundless and the bounded. Nothing, he believed, could exist without both. Out of that union of opposites, he believed, the whole rich world was born. This idea of harmony was absolutely central to everything Philolaus believed about the world. Harmony for him was the force that unites opposites into a single, ordered whole, bringing beauty and structure out of chaos. Without harmony, the limited and the unlimited would remain forever separate, and the universe could never exist. It was harmony that wove them together into the ordered cosmos we see around us. In this vision, the entire universe becomes a kind of magnificent musical composition, held together by the same principles that create beautiful music. To him, the cosmos was not chaos tamed by chance, but chaos transformed by harmony into beauty. Everything that is sings quietly of that hidden order.
Music and the cosmos were connected, to Philolaus, by no mere poetry, but a profound mathematical truth. The Pythagoreans had made a stunning discovery about the nature of musical harmony itself. They found that the most pleasing musical intervals corresponded to simple ratios of whole numbers, like 2:1 or 3:2. When you pluck a string and then pluck another string exactly half its length, the two notes sound perfectly in harmony together. This discovery revealed that beauty in music was governed by the hidden power of numbers. A plucked string became, in his hands, a window into the structure of the heavens. What was true of a lyre, he suspected, was true of the whole universe. Number, he saw, was the secret thread stitching sound and starlight together. That revelation about music opened up a dizzying and wondrous possibility about the whole universe. If numbers governed the beauty of music, Philolaus reasoned, then perhaps numbers governed absolutely everything in existence. Perhaps the entire cosmos was structured according to the same mathematical harmonies that made music beautiful. This was one of the most influential ideas in the history of science, the conviction that reality itself is written in the language of numbers. From this seed would eventually grow the entire tradition of mathematical physics that shapes our world today. It was a thought that would eventually give birth to physics, astronomy, and all of exact science. In a single leap, he glimpsed the mathematical soul of the cosmos. He took this idea to its ultimate and daring conclusion about the structure of reality. He declared that all things which can be known contain number, and that without number, nothing could be understood or known at all. Number, for him, was not just a tool for counting, but the very foundation of knowledge and existence itself. To understand anything truly was to understand the numbers and ratios hidden within it. In this profound vision, mathematics became the key that unlocks the deepest secrets of the universe. Reality, in his eyes, was a vast equation waiting patiently to be read. To know a thing was to know the numbers singing within it. Strip away the numbers, he taught, and knowledge itself would dissolve into darkness. But it was in his vision of the heavens that Philolaus made his most shocking and revolutionary claim.
Every astronomer and philosopher before him had placed the earth firmly at the center of the universe, unmoving and supreme. Philolaus looked at the same sky and dared to imagine something completely different and utterly startling. He proposed that the earth was not the center of anything, but was itself in motion, traveling in a great circle through space. With this single idea, he shattered one of humanity's oldest and most cherished beliefs. He was about to say the unsayable, to think the unthinkable about the very ground beneath him. And nothing in astronomy would ever be quite the same again. The ground beneath every human being was about to lose its ancient stillness. In the center of the cosmos, Philolaus placed not the earth, but a mysterious and magnificent central fire. This was not the sun, but a different, primordial fire that he called the hearth of the universe, the central point around which all else revolved. The earth, the sun, the moon, and all the planets circled endlessly around this hidden flame. It was a vision of breathtaking originality, removing our world from the center of all things and setting it in motion through the heavens. No one in the Western world had ever proposed such a thing before. Around this hidden flame, he imagined the whole of creation turning in a silent dance. It was a cosmos more daring than anything humanity had yet conceived. No Greek before him had ever dared to light such a fire at the world's heart. According to Philolaus, this central fire was the source of all light and warmth in the cosmos. We do not see it directly, he explained, because of the way the earth moves and faces away from it. The sun in his system was not the original source of light, but a kind of mirror or window, reflecting or transmitting the light of the great central fire. It was an ingenious attempt to explain the workings of the heavens without placing the earth at the center. Though not correct in its details, the boldness of its imagination was simply extraordinary. He was reaching, however imperfectly, towards a universe with its center somewhere other than here. That single shift of the center was a revolution in disguise. Even his errors pointed, like a compass, towards a deeper hidden truth. Perhaps the strangest feature of his cosmic system was a mysterious body he called the counter-earth. Philolaus proposed that there existed another world, invisible to us, orbiting on the far side of the central fire. This counter-earth was always hidden from view, positioned so that it remained forever on the opposite side of the flame. Some believe he introduced this idea to explain certain eclipses, while others think it completed a sacred cosmic number. Whatever his reasons, it shows a mind willing to imagine worlds beyond what the eye could see. It was a phantom world, forever eclipsed, forever just out of sight beyond the fire. Only the boldest imagination could have placed it there. It was a daring stroke of cosmic imagination painted upon the invisible. You might wonder why Philolaus would propose such strange and invisible cosmic objects. Part of the answer lies in the deep Pythagorean love of numbers and their mystical significance. The Pythagoreans considered the number 10 to be perfect and divine, the holiest of all numbers. When they counted the heavenly bodies in their system, they found only 9, and this was unacceptable to their sense of cosmic order. The counter-earth may have been added to bring the total to the perfect number of 10 heavenly bodies. To them, the very architecture of the heavens had to obey the sacred beauty of number. A missing 10th body was, for them, almost unthinkable, so they searched the heavens until the sacred count of 10 was complete.
To our modern minds, adding an invisible planet to satisfy a love of numbers might seem absurd, but we should pause and appreciate a profound assumption hidden within this strange reasoning. Philolaus and the Pythagoreans believed with all their hearts that the universe was fundamentally rational, orderly, and beautiful. They trusted that the cosmos was built according to mathematical principles that the human mind could discover. This faith in an ordered, knowable universe is the very foundation upon which all of modern science would later be built. Strange as it seems, this faith in a rational cosmos was the deep root of all later science. Every equation ever written grew from that ancient trust. That trust in order is the quiet faith beneath every scientific discovery since. Pause to feel the sheer audacity of what Philolaus accomplished with his imagination. Working with nothing but his mind, without telescopes or instruments of any kind, he questioned the most obvious fact of human experience. Everyone could see that the earth seemed still and the heavens seemed to move, yet he dared to suggest the opposite. This willingness to doubt the evidence of the senses in favor of a deeper truth is one of the great hallmarks of genius. He trusted reason and mathematics over the plain appearance of things. He chose to believe his reasoning over the testimony of his own eyes. That single choice is the very heartbeat of the scientific spirit. That single act of trust would echo through every laboratory ever built. These radical ideas would echo across the centuries in the most remarkable way. Nearly 2,000 years after Philolaus, a Polish astronomer named Nicolaus Copernicus was developing his revolutionary theory. Copernicus proposed that the Earth moves around the Sun, overturning the belief that our world sat motionless at the center of everything. And remarkably, Copernicus himself acknowledged his debt to the ancient thinkers who came before him. He specifically mentioned Philolaus as one who had dared to suggest that the Earth was in motion. A whisper spoken in ancient Italy would one day become a roar that shook the world. Ideas, it turns out, can outlive empires and cross millennia. The distance of 2,000 years could not silence so bold a thought. Think about the astonishing thread of thought connecting these two men across 2 millennia. In the 1500s, when Copernicus was searching for support for his daring idea, he looked back to the ancient Greeks. There he found Philolaus, who had proposed a moving earth so many centuries earlier, and drew courage from his example. The seed planted by a Pythagorean philosopher in ancient Italy finally blossomed into the scientific revolution. It is one of the most beautiful examples of how ideas can travel through time to change the world. Across 2,000 years, one bold philosopher reached out and steadied the hand of another. It is a quiet miracle of human continuity. Courage, it seems, can be handed down across the centuries like a torch. Of course, we must be honest and recognize that Philolaus was not correct in the details of his system. There is no central fire, no counter-Earth, and the Earth orbits the Sun rather than a mysterious flame. But to focus only on these errors would be to completely miss the point of his greatness. What matters is that he was the first in the Western tradition to set the Earth in motion and remove it from the center. He asked the right revolutionary question, even if he did not arrive at the perfect answer. The details were wrong, but the direction was breathtakingly right. He pointed humanity toward a truth it would take ages to fully grasp. To ask the right question, he shows us, can matter more than finding the answer. Genius, in his case, lay not in being right, but in daring to imagine the previously unimaginable. He broke the psychological chains that had bound human thought to a motionless earth for countless generations. Once someone had dared to move the earth, even in imagination, the door was open for others to follow. He expanded the boundaries of what human beings believed was possible to think. Sometimes the greatest contribution a thinker can make is simply to prove that a bold new idea can even be conceived. Once the unthinkable has been thought even once, it can never again be truly forbidden. He gave later minds permission to dream. He proved that even the most ancient certainty could be questioned by a daring mind. His philosophy also gave us a profound and lasting way of thinking about knowledge itself. By insisting that all things are known through number, Philolaus pointed toward the mathematical nature of reality. Today, our most advanced sciences describe the universe using the language of mathematics, from the orbits of planets to the behavior of subatomic particles. Every physicist who writes an equation to describe nature is walking a path first cleared by thinkers like Philolaus. His ancient intuition has been confirmed in ways he could never have imagined. What he sensed in fragments, modern science has confirmed in overwhelming detail. The universe really does speak in the language of number. His ancient guess has become the working assumption of all modern physics. There is something deeply moving about the way Philolaus saw beauty woven into the fabric of the cosmos. For him, the universe was not a cold and random collection of objects, but a harmonious whole, ordered like a piece of music. The same ratios that made a lyre sound beautiful also governed the dance of the planets across the sky. This vision of a cosmos filled with hidden harmony has inspired scientists and artists alike for thousands of years. It suggests that to understand the universe is also, in some sense, to hear its music. To gaze at the stars, for him, was to witness a silent and eternal symphony. Beauty and truth, in his cosmos, were one and the same. In his cosmos, to calculate was also, in a way, to worship. From this beautiful Pythagorean vision grew directly the idea of the harmony of the spheres. Philolaus and his fellow thinkers imagined that the heavenly bodies in their vast orbits produced a kind of cosmic music. Each planet moving through space was thought to sound its own note in a grand celestial symphony. We cannot hear this music, they believed, only because it surrounds us constantly from the moment of our birth. This poetic idea captures the very essence of the Pythagorean dream, a universe singing with mathematical harmony. It is one of the most enchanting ideas ever to arise from the human mind. Even now, it stirs something deep in anyone who hears it. To imagine the planets singing is to glimpse the soul of Pythagorean thought. Little is known for certain about the personal life of this remarkable philosopher. He is believed to have lived and taught in various cities of the Greek world, spreading Pythagorean ideas wherever he went. His fame as a teacher and thinker drew students and admirers from across the ancient world. Yet, like so many figures from that distant age, much of his life remains shrouded in mystery. What survives is not the details of his days, but the immortal power of his ideas. The man himself has faded, but the light of his thought has never dimmed. He lives on wherever people dare to imagine a stranger, grander cosmos. His ideas outlived his name, and that may well be the truest immortality any thinker could hope for. Precious treasures of ancient philosophy are the fragments of his writings that survive. Though his complete book has been lost to the ravages of time, quotations and summaries preserved by later writers give us glimpses of his thought. Scholars have studied these surviving pieces for centuries, piecing together the vision of this extraordinary mind. Each fragment is like a shard of a shattered mirror, reflecting a small part of a once magnificent whole. Through these precious remains, the voice of Philolaus still speaks to us across the ages. From these broken pieces, we reconstruct one of history's boldest minds. Even in fragments, his brilliance is unmistakable. Each surviving line is a spark struck from a once dazzling fire. When we consider his place in history, Philolaus emerges as a crucial link in a golden chain of discovery. He stood between the mysterious Pythagoras and the great philosophers and scientists who followed. He preserved ancient wisdom while adding his own daring innovations to it. Without figures like him, the precious knowledge of the past would have been lost, and the future of science might have been very different. He was a guardian of the old and a pioneer of the new, both at once. He carried a torch from the ancient past into the waiting hands of the future. Without that torch, the path of science might have gone dark. In him, the ancient and the future briefly clasped hands across the dark. His was the steady hand that kept a fragile flame of knowledge alive.
Few stories remind us so vividly of a profound truth about the nature of human progress. The greatest advances often begin not with proof, but with imagination, with someone brave enough to ask, "What if?" He could not prove the earth was moving, but he dared to imagine it, and that act of imagination lit a fire that would burn for 2,000 years. Every revolution in human understanding begins with a single mind willing to defy the obvious. Philolaus shows us the world-changing power of a truly bold idea. Progress, he shows us, is often born in the daring of a single imagination. The impossible of one age becomes the obvious of the next. One brave imagination, he reminds us, can quietly bend the course of history. So the next time you look up at the night sky and know, without a doubt, that the earth beneath you is spinning through space, remember the ancient philosopher who imagined it first. Remember Philolaus, who dared to move the earth from the center of the universe when everyone knew it could not move. He teaches us that the boldest ideas, the ones that seem impossible in their own time, can turn out to reshape the whole of human understanding. His central fire may have been a beautiful mistake, but the courage of his imagination was utterly real. And that courage still lights our way toward the stars. His courage across the centuries still whispers to every dreamer who dares to look up. Imagine boldly, it says, and you may just move the earth.
Philolaus lived nearly 2,500 years ago, and though his complete book has been lost, and much of his life remains hidden in the mists of history, this remarkable Pythagorean thinker changed the course of human understanding in ways that still shape our world today. He was the man brave enough to break the ancient vow of secrecy and write down the hidden teachings of Pythagoras, rescuing an entire tradition of thought from vanishing forever. And it may even have been his precious book that carried these ideas to the young Plato. He believed that the universe was built from the harmony of the limited and the unlimited, that all things which can be truly known contain number, and that reality itself is written in the language of mathematics, a vision that lies at the very foundation of modern science. But his most astonishing achievement was to look up at the heavens and dare to remove the earth from the center of the cosmos, setting it in motion around a mysterious central fire nearly 2,000 years before Copernicus, who himself remembered Philolaus as one who had first imagined a moving earth. He was not correct in every detail, for there is no central fire and no counter-earth. Yet his true greatness lay not in being right, but in daring to imagine the impossible, and to trust reason over the plain evidence of the eyes. If the story of this bold philosopher has stirred something in you, then let it remind you that the greatest revolutions in human thought often begin with a single act of imagination, with one person brave enough to doubt the obvious and ask, "What if?" So remember the man who heard the music of the spheres and moved the earth with nothing but his mind, and who taught humanity across all the long centuries that a single bold idea can travel through time to remake the entire world.